Hi, everybody. Welcome to our next legislative minute. I'm happy to introduce you to Senator Engel today, and we will talk about education-related bills moving through the legislature. I'm Sharon Kirsch with Save Our Schools Arizona. I'm the Director of Research, and I appreciate everybody being here and working to understand how the legislative process works and how we can support our public schools. So welcome, Senator Engel.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So we know that you have two bills that are working their way through the legislative process, Senate Bill 1188 and Senate Bill 1189. And tell us a little bit about those. Are they both focused on special ed kids, or give us a little bit of background about those bills?
Yes, both of them are focused on special education. And, I think they're very appropriate for this time. I think there's general agreement that, kids with special education needs have been some of the hardest hit by what's going on with our schools as a result of the pandemic. So it's a great time, I think, to support them and, support them going forward, too. Neither of these bills are just pandemic, but that certainly is an important focus.
So Senate Bill 1188 wants to redirect results-based funding to a different purpose. Can you tell us a little bit about why we might want to shift from results-based funding to focusing on special education students?
Well, yes. Results-based funding is, a program that, has been, I would say, somewhat controversial over the years, in that it really works to the benefit of the students that are really doing the best and having the least problems in our system, and are really in the least need for additional funding. And it's also very much based upon test scores. And of course, we haven't been having testing this past year. So this would redirect those funds, which it's, not even clear that really how we would spend them without some of the testing that they turn on. But it would redirect those funds into programs for special education students.
And it's especially a hard time for so many of our students, having to be at home or be in semi-online, semi-in-person. It's just been such a tough year for so many of our students, especially our special needs students.
Right. And this would fund the programs that would, help them to, kind of cover and recover some of the ground that we know that this population of kids has lost. And we know that all of our kids are struggling, but I think this particular population really is in need of those additional funds.
Yes, definitely. So Senate Bill 1189, tell us a little bit more specifics about what that bill does.
Well, I'm excited about this bill. This bill did pass out of the Senate Education Committee unanimously a few weeks ago. It was great to see such support. It would increase the Group B weights. This is the funding formula that we use to fund all children. And there's Group A and there's Group B weights. And the Group B weights include additional funding for special education in different categories. And this would increase it so that it is at least closer to the additional costs that our schools are confronting in order to take to really give the services to special needs kids that they are entitled to, and that we want them to have in order.
Right, that's what I was going to say. We want them to have those. And so, you have focused a lot on special education and bills like these two. Sometimes they don't make it through the process. They sound so common sense, so helpful to our kids, sometimes our most vulnerable kids. So why doesn't everybody just say, yes, great idea?
Well, so many, especially with this second bill, so many people have been saying this for years, that we are really underfunding this. And the schools, they do end up kind of moving money around because you've got to hire additional staff people, et cetera. But they end up taking the money away from other things that are important as well. So, the solution is just straightforward. Let's fund this area as it needs to be funded, so there isn't some kind of trade-off going on, and so we can make sure that these kids have the services that they deserve. So this has been a long-term priority. It's been bipartisan, and I'm really hoping that this year it gets across the finish line. I don't have a good answer for that. I think sometimes people's eyes glaze over when they hear about special B weights. What does that mean? It's really fairly simple, but it just takes some concentration and a little bit of political will. I hope people will see is, look, we've got bipartisan buy-in here. Let's just pass this.
That would be great. So, Save Our Schools came into being to fight voucher bills. And as an organization, we have never been fully against empowerment scholarship accounts. So I'm sure you know that when the program started, it was a small program, $1.6 million a year. It was for kids with really, really high special needs that couldn't be met by their district school or their district. And so in those instances, the state would provide taxpayer dollars to help those kids with those special needs have those special needs met. But we also know that that program has grown exponentially since its inception. It's expanded and expanded and expanded. And Save Our Schools referred Prop 305 just a couple of years ago, and 2-to-1 people across the state of Arizona said, no, we don't want an expansion. And again, we have another bill moving through the legislature that would be a massive, massive expansion. And I think sometimes what gets lost in that discussion is that our public schools, our district schools, do a really, really good job with very limited resources, educating the vast majority of students, special needs students and other students, across the state, because 95% of Arizona families choose their public schools. And so I think that's why your bills are so important, because they call attention to that our schools really need more funding just for basic stuff.
They do. We have a constitutional duty to provide a free education system, and I think we've been doing a great job. I really do. I have a daughter that's gone through the public schools, and I'm very proud of that, and she's getting a really excellent education. And it really is so concerning that the Arizona legislature comes up with some of these proposals that the voters, don't want. To expand ways of shifting, taxpayer dollars out of our district and charter schools and into private schooling. So I'm very proud to be sponsoring these bills. I really think that we have a chance of really fixing something here and really giving a just great quality education to our special needs kids so they can really thrive. And we all want that. So yes, very excited about that, and opposing other bills that are going to undercut the funding of our public schools.
Well, we appreciate your efforts. And are there things that we have volunteers all over the state of Arizona? Are there things that our volunteers should know or can do to help support your efforts?
Well, certainly reaching out to your legislator, saying that you support Senate Bill 1189 that's already passed out of the Education Committee. Let's get it across the finish line. It's getting kind of late unfortunately, for Senate Bill 1188, but the Appropriations Committee is still meeting next week. So any help for saying, put that bill on the agenda for the Appropriations Committee to give it a hearing, all of that would be appreciated. And if we do get these bills up on the floor, please reach out again and say, let's pass it.
Yes, excellent. Well, we really appreciate your time and helping us to understand these important bills, and we will keep an eye on them. So thank you so much for informing us about these bills.
Thank you for having me.